All right. Welcome back, Better Everyday Podcast listeners. I'm your host, Brad Weems. Today's guest is a friend of mine since 2006, one of the first true hustlers I knew before hustling became cool, a father of two girls, and the next big thing on the invite only app, Clubhouse. Today's guest is Jared Allmond. What's up, brother?
Hey man, wow, that's a pretty powerful introduction. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. So Jared and I go way back. In college, I was looking for some work just to make some extra dollars. And ironically, there was a brand, gosh, Jared, what was it in the 80s that was surfer brand,
Yeah.
Jimmyz.
Yep.
And so anyway, they, Aeropostale rebought the Jimmyz name and started this apparel line. And how many stores were there, Jared?
There was just 7 across the entire country.
Yeah, so there were 7 stores across the whole country, and one of them was in my hometown of Morristown, Tennessee, ironically.
That's crazy when you say it out loud like that.
I know, because Morristown is the Mecca and where all things take place. But Jared, you were what, an assistant manager at Jimmyz?
Yeah, at first, yep.
Yeah, so I go in and I interview, and I get the job there and working with Jared. And I tell you what, this guy, he showed me what it meant to hustle. I'm sitting there working with Jared. He'll get them in. Our jeans were like our go-to item at Jimmyz. And next thing you know, Jared had like 6 other pieces over their door, and like basically just force feeding them to try this stuff on. And all of a sudden, you just see him upselling and bringing the store more money. So he really at an early age taught me what hustling looked like. So thank you for that, man.
Well, hey man, yeah, I appreciate it. You know, part of that hustle was it's an interesting piece, right? Because when people go to buy jeans, nobody just wears jeans by themselves when they go out in public. So part of that hustle was like, yeah, there's dollars associated with it, but you got to help that customer feel good about what they're purchasing. And by adding other pieces to it, just trying to treat people the way I'd want to be treated when I go shopping.
Yeah, definitely. It's about the outfit. It's not about just one single piece. But anyway, got off on a little tangent there, but let's talk more about you on a personal level, your family, what you do for work, and whatever else is going on in life.
Yeah. So, as Brad mentioned in the introduction, I do have 2 little girls. I have a 5-year-old. Well, she'll be 6 this year, and I have a 2-year-old. It'll be 3 later this in May. And I pivoted away from the retail world about 6 years ago into the software as a service industry. And I currently work for an e-learning company called Skillsoft. And the 2 portfolios that I support are legal compliance, which is all the fun stuff like harassment training. We do some actor shooter training. And then we have an environmental safety and health catalog that we support. And a lot of that content kind of aligns to OSHA requirements. And so that's what I do from a work perspective. And then a deep passion of mine personally is I'm really fascinated with organizational culture and how to really make an impact in that. And so that kind of led me to getting on Clubhouse and experiencing that event. Kind of what Brad alluded to earlier was getting on a platform that is audio only, was really unique to me, and it was invite only. And I learned about that platform back in the spring of last year. And FOMO was a real deal for me. I was like, man, I got to get on this. And I didn't have any friends that could send me an invite to get on there. And one day I was scrolling on LinkedIn, and I actually found a customer of mine that posted, hey, I got 3 invites. If anybody wants one, hit me up in the DMs. I'll get you hooked up. So I hit her up, and she sent me on there. And it's really changed a lot for me, not just from a business perspective, but my personal life, my personal brand. And so that's kind of what's taken me from, just my business life, I guess.
Yeah. So let's backtrack just a minute, Jared. So if there's a person listening right now, and there is a big part of the population, I feel, that falls into this, that doesn't know what Clubhouse is, can you like further elaborate and explain what that app is?
Yeah, sure. So Clubhouse is an audio only application where in this environment you would create what are called rooms that are led by moderators. And the moderators would be kind of thought leadership on a particular topic. And then you would have people in the audience that could come to their room and listen to them speak, but also interact with those conversations. So there's a raise your hand button where you can get engaged and interact with the speakers. And that component of interactivity really, really appealed to me on a personal level, but also on a branding level.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you basically had the opportunity with Clubhouse to interact with people that you would never get in front of or have the opportunity to possibly even, talk to by raising your hand in a room. So,
yeah, it's an awesome experience because you can interact with people. A prime example for me was there was a C-suite executive that I had been wanting to speak with at this very large adult beverage company, and they were in a room giving a speech about culture, and I raised a question, interacted with them, we connected on LinkedIn, and now they're in my funnel from a business perspective. So it was someone that I had been chasing for like 6 months to try to meet. But this little interaction of, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 minutes led to this awesome relationship where now it's transcending, and hopefully it's going to equate to some dollars.
yeah, without a doubt. So let's touch base a little bit more on how it has changed you from a personal and career level since being on the app.
Yeah. So one of the components within the app, they have what's called clubs. And a club is kind of an environment where you can set rooms to have different topics in. So initially when I got on the app, the clubs were, you had to lead a room, 3 consecutive rooms to show that you were worthy of creating a club. And as Clubhouse grew, at that time, there was only about 4 million users. Currently, there's a little over 10 million, and it's only on iOS. They just hired 2 months ago, they hired some Android developers and are looking to roll out the app to everybody in May, which is going to be amazing because then it's not going to be just exclusive to iPhone users. But from a club perspective, you have a club, and whatever that topical area of that club is, then you can align rooms that get a little bit more granular, that dotted line back to that club. And they open it up to everybody once they realize that here's an opportunity for people to create clubs. So I saw this as an opportunity because in what I do from a professional perspective, there's a big gap where you have the vendor, which would be me, and then you have the buyer, which are within all these organizations. And oftentimes there's a huge disconnect between those two people, and they simply rely on Google search, which is a great source, but Clubhouse gives the ability to interact with that. So I thought it'd be great to have a club, a learning and development club, that would give the ability for both parties to get on there and have just an open conversation, not a sales conversation, no pressure, just like, hey, CHRO, what's important to you? And then from a vendor perspective, here's what we're doing from a content rollout. Here's what we see in the industry. So it gives you kind of firsthand knowledge for you to make informed decisions.
Yeah. And so for listeners, like, for example, you guys could just hop in and join our conversation if this was a Clubhouse room, which is really cool. And, maybe Jared and I have a topic for the day and we're jamming, and then you guys interject. And let's say that Jared's a big time guy, and all of a sudden, like he was saying a moment ago, now you have that connection with Jared, and the sky's the limit, what you do with that and how you grow, whether it's personally, learning or professionally. So, but yeah, Jared just recently started moderating rooms. And so how's that been different from the perspective of being in a room and listening versus now being in charge of the room? Like, what have you seen as far as progression since doing that?
So it's really been a huge learning curve because I've moderated probably about 6 rooms. And initially I thought, naively, I was like, oh, I got this. I don't need to do any research. I can hop up on stage. Here's a topic I want to chat about, and people will show up. Well, that was a failed approach, right? There was like 5 people in the room, which was fine. I mean, the size of the room doesn't necessarily matter, as the message makes an impact. That's what's important. But I wasn't able to manage the room correctly. And what I mean by manage the room correctly is each person on Clubhouse, similar to every social media platform, has a profile that says, you know, who you are. You have the ability to create it however you like. But most Clubhouse profiles have who you are, what your interests are, hobbies perhaps. And so to make it really interactive, I was trying to read people's profiles in the room and bring them up on stage to have a conversation and active listen to what the conversation was unfolding. And I did a really poor job because it was just me trying to do all that. Mm-hmm. So as I progressed through moderating more rooms, I found other professionals that may have a little bit bigger following than me, or might have a stronger voice in the niche area of HR or leadership or emotional intelligence. And I said, hey, I created this club. We're the largest learning and development club on Clubhouse right now. We have 300 followers and we have about 98 members. I would love for you and I to chat about co-moderating a room together. And Brad, I got to tell you, man, like their response was like, yes. And so every Monday I have a strategy call with 2 of the co-moderators. We're actually going to be doing a room later today on victim mindset. And the strategy is to have co-moderators, because now you can still actively listen, but now you have a teammate that could help, you know, view profiles and ask questions. They're going to be super engaging. So I think it's going to be very helpful.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little more. I want to kind of get more, I want to expose the listener to more about this hustle mentality that I've known since I first met you. And where did that come from?
Oh man, I guess if I had to pick one place where it came from is, so I grew up an Army brat. So my dad was in the Army for 35 years. And so what that meant for me was that every 2 to 4 years, we were up and moving. So I had to like try out for new teams, meet new friends, always like just be very open to doing everything with everybody. And so I think that actually helped propel me into just taking that into my everyday life. It was like, okay, like here's a new challenge. Let's just get after it and try to be the best at it. And so I think that's where the competitiveness really started. Maybe competitiveness is the wrong word. But I think that's what I would attribute it to.
Gotcha. So obviously you're motivated to meet people if you're moving all the time, but in like a business or professional setting, how do you keep going and, you know, keeping that determination to have that hustle whenever you don't see an ROI or it paying off?
Yeah. So great question. So as cheesy as it might sound, I really believe in the 1% better. And so if I can have a conversation with clients or people, regardless if they buy anything from me or not, if I can make an impact on them that improves their day or makes them think about something that could help them out by 1%, to me, that's a win. And how do I measure that? Well, I don't have, you know, a fancy dashboard that says, oh, you got that 1%. Good job, Jared. What I do have is people that send me handwritten notes that, hey man, thanks for posting this on LinkedIn. It really inspired me. Or people sending me video messages on LinkedIn. Hey, Jared, our conversation on Clubhouse really helped me see X, right? And that doesn't have any direct dollar correlation to it, but it really, really helped that person in whatever struggle that they were having that day. And to me, that's way more important than money, because when you come from a place of giving, the money just comes. You don't have to chase it and necessarily grind it.
I remember customers that we would have at Jimmyz, and you know, when they walked in, you already knew based on the interactions you had with them what their style was and the new pieces that you could throw at them to try on, just based on that interaction and you know, attention to detail that you had. It was really cool.
Yeah, man. Well, it's important, right? People buy from people, but if you build that rapport with them, and again, it just goes back to like making them feel special. And if they don't buy anything from you, they don't buy anything from you now. But when the time is right and they need a specific need for whatever you're selling or whatever kind of hustle you have, they're going to remember that you stood out in the crowd and you gave them sound advice, or you coached them in a certain area to improve their life or improve their skill set. And so when it does come time to make that purchase, back in the day buying jeans, or now looking at building out a culture of learning, they're going to go, yeah, I need to go and talk to that dude because he gave me some really good advice. And so, yeah, that's important.
Well, I mean, I've always said this. People won't remember that pair of jeans or that outfit that they bought from you, but they'll remember the way you made them feel, and that's long lasting. So, who are you paying attention to or listening to that motivates you, to be better every day?
Oh man, that's kind of a loaded question, right? The list is um, so I guess for me, like my morning routine is it might be a little bit different. So read, write, and listen every single morning. And so from a listening perspective, I think kind of probably all the usual suspects that a lot of people probably listen to stay motivated, like Jocko. David Goggins is another big one that I'm really into because he has that fiery like mindset that, he's not going to quit at whatever he does. So from a motivational perspective, those are two guys that I listen to and read their books to help keep me motivated. And then from a business perspective, it's really all over the spectrum. A lot of the stuff that I read from a business perspective is more about understanding the human psyche and why people do things. So it's more of a book related thing than actual listening to voices. Simon Sinek is a big one, but I don't really have any podcasts. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts back in the day before Clubhouse came about. And so my podcast listening has declined a bit because now I can go into a room and speak directly to the podcaster, right? Mm-hmm. And say, hey, like what motivates you to do X? And go, oh, okay, cool. I never thought of it that way. Where in the podcast format, I could listen to it and learn components from it. But if I ever had a question, it became a little bit more challenging to either reach out via email or call to that podcaster and ask them a further question. How about you, man? Who do you listen to get you fired up and inspire you?
Well, I'm a big Gary V. Now you got to take him in doses though. Sometimes I really resonate with his stuff, and then other days it's just overkill. You can only hear so many times that he took his dad's package store from 3 to 60 million, and
Yeah.
But I tend to pay more attention to people within my field, and so one of my go-tos is a guy that I actually had on the podcast a couple months ago is Stu Brower, out of Charlotte. So Stu was a gym owner at one point, purchased his own piece of commercial real estate, and then started a consulting business for gym owners. And I tell you, he puts out just a ton of free content, and it's not always gym related. So even someone like yourself could benefit from some of the stuff he's spitting out. And like, I know Leighton here, he's even messaged Stu a few times, and Stu will always, he's like Gary V in the fact that he'll always message you back, whether he makes $1 off of you ever or not. So I like a guy named Jason Kalipa. He was a former CrossFit Games athlete, gym owner. He is probably the most successful CrossFit gym owner in the world. And he's met with Gary V, and so he's doing big things. But I guess that's it. Always want to listen to something that I can make applicable on a daily basis, or like that day. You hearing Gary Vee talk about Bitcoin doesn't help me today necessarily. So like
Yeah.
some of the stuff that Stu will spit out will help customer interactions at the gym that day. So
Yeah, I like Gary Vee too. But you're right. Like taking his message in doses is key. But what I like about Gary is when he's out in public, his interaction with people is so genuine, man. Like that's what draws me to him, is that when he's true to himself, regardless of what event he's in. He's not like big time on the stage in front of thousands of people and then doesn't give you the time of day if you bump into him at the airport. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, giving to others without asking it seems like a lost cause at times, but that's just a winner's mindset. And if you're passionate about something, it'll come back to you. So
1,000%, man. Life is a giver's game, right? As soon as people understand that component about life, they're going to win on every level, business, in their relationships, being a parent, like across the board. If as soon as you understand that mindset, it's awesome.
Yeah. So what are your personal goals with Clubhouse? And like, where do you see this app going? Like, what are your predictions with it?
Yeah. So I think, they already have the ability to monetize on it. I don't look at it as an opportunity to make money. I think it is, I don't know what the future of Clubhouse is going to be. And the reason why I say that is because all the other social media platforms have seen what Clubhouse has done. And now you're seeing them kind of copy their style a bit, right? Like I think Twitter might have something similar to Clubhouse from a voice only perspective. I think Instagram either has or might be working on something. And I know that LinkedIn recently announced that they're going to have an audio only component. But I don't know the future of like what Clubhouse is going to hold as a platform. But for me, I'm going to continue to use Clubhouse as an opportunity to build a personal brand that can help people. And if I need to pivot to another platform to continue that voice, I'm going to be able to do that. But I think, so Clubhouse is a really special app to me because I've met some amazing people on there. So I think it's just going to be another avenue to connect directly with people and make an impact with them that kind of cuts through the noise of sending an email or a text or picture-based, maybe perhaps on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. How many invites do you have right now in case a listener wanted to get an invite to be on Clubhouse, or do you not give those away freely?
So well, let me just throw up the little asterisk in front of this statement. Certainly I give them away freely. Not a problem. Hit me up. I'll gladly give them to you. I got about 5 or 6 sitting in my inbox. The issue is when I say I give them away freely, I got to make sure a couple things when I give somebody my invite, because when you invite somebody to Clubhouse and they create their profile, it shows at the bottom of your profile who invited you to the platform, right? And so if you just haphazardly invite anybody and you give away those invites and they get on the platform and are do something inappropriate or talk about something that could be offensive, I just don't want my name or my brand associated with that type of talk or reflection. And so knowing a little bit more about what the person's why is, like, why do you want to get on Clubhouse? You want to get on Clubhouse to see what it's about? Okay, cool. That may not be somebody that I would give an invite to. But if it's somebody that's like, hey man, I really want to get on Clubhouse because, and they give me a defined reason why, and then me connect with them and learn about how they're going to use Clubhouse, that's somebody I'd be like, cool, yeah, here's an invite, dude. Have at it.
So basically what Jared's saying is message me and send $25 for a background check. We might send you an invite.
That's right. That's right. No, I mean, I just don't want, because there are stories where people, early days Clubhouse, where they gave invites to anybody and somebody got on there and opened a hate speech room and that got them banned completely from Clubhouse. But it also got the person that invited them, and they were a pretty big influencer on a lot of social media platforms, banned from Clubhouse as well, only because of the direct correlation. So I'm just really cautious of that. Particularly, I want to use Clubhouse for all it's good.
Definitely. So Jared and I, actually, we hadn't touched base in, I don't know, dude, what, 6 to 8 years?
It's been a hot minute.
And, but when I was living in Knoxville, we were hanging out every day, working out, whatnot. But Clubhouse has been, I'm not on there near as much as you are, Jared. Like, you're on there literally every time I get on there. But getting on there and being invited by Aaron Dodge, who was a guest on the podcast a couple of months ago, it has reconnected this in our relationship. And so for listeners, Jared and I, we both see each other out there working, and we actually connect on a weekly basis now, and just, hey, how's your week going? What are you doing to get better? And then there's weeks where we're challenging each other. Hey, by the end of next week, you got to get this done. So I've gotten Jared to get into video on LinkedIn. He's been doing some of that. And when you got here like that, why wouldn't you, But I've been doing video for a while. Started the podcast, but, that's an area that Jared had been doing. So that's one of the ways to growing and getting better from our weekly talks.
Yeah, man, I can't tell you, like, I look forward to those chats on so many different levels. One, on a personal level, both us being dads, it's always cool to cut up about stuff like that. Being husbands, talking about life, it's good to have that outlet, especially a good friend that you've been friends with for a long time. And then also on that professional challenge, like you were saying, hey man, like, you have a voice, dude, like, start doing video. And I'm like, I don't know. So thank you for challenging me to do that. My video game is super weak right now on LinkedIn. I dabbled with it, but what I have been doing from a video component, which I think is very beneficial and has really helped me out a lot, is when I do connect with people on Clubhouse via LinkedIn, the first message I send them is a video message thanking them for connecting with me. And I can't tell you, like, that alone cuts through the noise. Dude, these people that I connect with via the video absolutely love it. And these are some big name people in the industry, some thought leaders in the industry that see those videos and they're like, oh, cool. This is really cool. And they'll send me a note, or they'll even write me a hand thank you card, which is total next level, old school, but still awesome. So I never would have dabbled in that had you not been like, dude, you post a lot. I don't see any videos.
Yeah. I actually have done that with prospective members at the gym before. So I'll send them a video message, which is kind of creepy when they don't know you. But I'll be like, hey, it's Brad from the gym. And I'll be walking around the gym and kind of showing them our facility. And then they walk in the door next week to try us out, and they've already got a name and a face. So it just, you can't interpret someone's tone of voice or how they're saying something in text, but there's no denying it when you see video and facial expressions and tone of voice. So
yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a shame that we never got to release our world premiere video of our band. Maybe that's for another conversation.
Oh man, we've got to talk about this. So gosh, what were we in Nashville for?
We went to Nashville to see UT. They were playing. This was back in the Chris Lofton days when they played
yes
Oklahoma State or some team like that in Nashville.
Yeah, so we got G'd up from the feet up, as Jared used to say. And we were wearing these awesome outfits from the store, and we went to a bar that was kind of like underground, and they're like, what's the name of your band? We're like, Jared, these people think we're in a band. He's like, let's rock with it, dude. Let's just let's tell them we're in a band.
Yep.
That was the night that the Red was created.
That's
band,
right.
The Red.
Yep.
But
the band.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we had people buying us drinks just for wearing clothes from our store. It was awesome.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Yeah, but dude, thanks for hopping on the podcast today.
Absolutely, man. I loved it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, and just all the knowledge bombs of Clubhouse and hustling and your inspirations. So we'll be catching up. I was gonna say next week. I'm on vacation next week. I'm in Destin, and you got a move coming up. When's the move taking place?
Yeah, so we're closing here in Knoxville this Friday, and then I'll be in the new house May 3rd.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be packing up and dealing with all the fun stuff. You know how that is, man. You recently just moved, so you know all the fun stress that.
It's crazy. We just reconnected. You've got a 5 and a 2, which is where I'm at, and then I just moved, and you're moving now, and you know, 2 people just out there trying to get a little bit better, but all these crazy distractions going on around us. But
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's not by coincidence, I don't think so. But brother, thank you for hopping on. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend, and listeners, appreciate you listening today, and we'll catch up with you soon.